up on SCTV3, we sit down with Springfield College's women's basketball head coach Naomi Graves to talk about her recent retirement.
Plus, learn more about the Vice President of Campus Life and Community Engagement and her decision to pursue higher ed.
All that and more tonight on SCTV3.
Hello, good evening, and welcome to tonight's edition of SCTV3 Weekly News. I'm Emma Bynes.
And I'm River Mitchell. Thank you for joining us.
We start tonight here on Alden Street with an announcement regarding Springfield College women's basketball head coach Naomi Graves. In an Instagram post from Springfield College Athletics, it was shared that Graves will be retiring at the end of the academic year after 35 years at the helm of the Pride program.
I sat down with Coach Graves in an exclusive interview to learn more about what went into her decision, how she feels the program is set up for the future, and her plans for retirement. I'm joined here with Coach Naomi Graves, head coach of the women's basketball team here at Springfield College. And Naomi, I know that recently there was a post put out on social media that was announcing that after 35 years at the helm, you're retiring as the women's basketball coach here at Springfield College. I know your last game, you suffered a loss to Smith in the last game of this season. When that game ended, at that point, did you know that that was going to be your last game coaching the Pride? Was it kind of running through your mind at all? Take me through what you were going through in that moment.
I think all season, when you put in as many years as I have, you just don't know. And I didn't know at the end of that game. Did I wonder? At that point, no. I was still a little concerned about losing the game. And watching my seniors, kind of making sure our seniors were okay. Because I think at the last game, you always end up leaving or losing some of the players that you've worked with for 4 years, and that's a highly emotional time on top of a loss. So I didn't really think about this could be the last time I compete against Smith up in their house.
No, absolutely. I definitely get that. And, you know, once you sort of had some time to sit with it and kind of make a decision, why did you feel that this year was the year where you decided, all right, that's going to be it for me?
I think, you know, every coach at this point in their career reflects, you know, what does the journey give them? What is it not? For me, you know, it was a really hard decision. One day I'm back next year. The next day I'm thinking maybe it's time. You know, I don't think anyone my age wants to go out being an incompetent coach, a bad coach, right? We want to be a coach that still has the fire, still wants to work with young people. And I think what I decided was I wanted to leave Springfield College still wanting to coach, still having the fire, so that I felt good about what I left or what I'm leaving, and I think that's where I'm at. Like, and I love this place, so it's a bittersweet decision.
Yeah, and you just mentioned, you know, you felt like this was the right year for you to leave, and I'm just curious, how do you think that the future of the program is? What are your thoughts in terms of, you know, the future of the program?
Good question.
When you leave, do you see it as, you know, is it a bright future? What do you see?
Oh, I think it's a very bright future. I think that's one of the things that I worked really hard on every year. I never knew when we went recruiting if I'd ever see players play 4 years, you know, because you recruit them in high school and then you're not sure when you're in our place as a coach. But I think one of the things that I really wanted to make sure of is that the cupboard's full. Right, and that's a term we use as coaching. Is there people talented enough to continue the program for whoever comes in that first year? Because no matter when or where you coach, that first year always is a learning year, and it can be a little up and down based on what you have as far as talent. And the new MAC is unbelievably competitive. So we've got, you know, 2 commits, hopefully 3, coming in, and they're talented, and I didn't leave the cupboard empty. I have a very strong senior class, and so I'm pretty excited about what anyone is going to inherit when they step on the floor.
Yes, and like anyone that knows you obviously knows that you think so highly of this place, right? I mean, this is home to you. This is a place we've spent you know, many decades coaching, being a student, all of that. What has it meant for you to be the head coach of the women's basketball team, not only just, you know, at Springfield College, but also to be able to do it at the birthplace of basketball? What has that meant for you?
That's why I came back. The program was in shambles when I came back. It took me a long time to turn it. If you go back to look at my early years, I didn't have a lot of wins. We were in the Northeast 10, we were non-scholarship. My goal was, in my interview, I stated this, that I think the birthplace of basketball should be about women's basketball. And so my whole vision for our program was to be regionally recognized and nationally respected. And I hope that that's where we are. I
Abso-
hope. I really do. I mean, I've worked hard. It's been my livelihood. And it's also been my livelihood because it isn't really so much about success. It's about, for me, you know, that teacher-coach role. Being called coach on this campus is unbelievably important. We play many roles, right? And I think, you know, mentoring young women, whether it's my graduate students or my players, understanding that I wanted to coach them holistically. It wasn't just on the hard word. I wanted to help guide them in learning leadership traits and confidence. And I also wanted to have this expectation that they could do well in the classroom. And so our team's done well in the classroom. We've been between a 3.6 to a 3.8, and a lot of our majors are like physical therapy, exercise science. So I really feel proud of, you know, kind of what I built. And I know whoever comes in is going to be a very talented coach, and I think they're going to take it to the next level, and that's what I'm hoping. And I know my senior leadership, those that come back, and my juniors are going to accept and help guide the next coach in the future. And I'm excited to be part of watching it.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And, you know, obviously, I'm sure you've been reminiscing about, you know, the past and stuff the last few days once you decided to make it official. You know, when you sort of take a step back and look at your time at Springfield College, what do you think is going to stick out to you the most? What do you think you're going to remember the most from your time coaching women's basketball here at Springfield College?
That's a great question because there's so many different emotions right now. I think when I step back, I really hope I made a difference. Like, and not just like with a win-loss record. I hope that my students in my classroom, I hope the faculty I worked with, I hope the staff that I interacted with on a daily basis, when they think of me and they think of my time here at Springfield, honestly, I hope it brings a smile to their face.
Well, I think for a lot of people, it will certainly bring a smile to their face. And last question I have for you, you know, obviously this is the end of the road for you as women's basketball coach at Springfield College. What's retirement going to look like? You know, do you have any places you want to go, people you want to see, things you want to do? Do you have any idea of how you want to now spend all this free time?
I am looking forward to developing that other side of me. You know, I haven't, if anyone has looked at my background, I haven't really not had basketball in the winter. So I'm looking forward to spending more time with my friends and my family and my dog. And, you know, I'm looking forward to taking on the next phase or chapter of my life, kind of in the same sense of what I'm doing now. Somewhere, somehow, I'm going to give back. And I'm not sure where that's going to be, whether it's going to be in the community. Well, I don't know. But that's who I am, and that's what I want to do. And I want to be able to help people. And that's kind of what Springfield College coaches do.
In the post announcing Graves' retirement, Graves was quoted saying, quote, "It has been an honor and a privilege to be the head women's basketball coach at Springfield College," end quote.
While many spent last week's spring break relaxing at home or on vacation, 8 Springfield College students and 2 staff members traveled to Delaware for a week of service with the Sussex County Habitat for Humanity. SCTV3's Logan Briggs was in Delaware and has the story.
Each spring break, Springfield College's Alternative Break Club participates in a week-long service project. This year, the club partnered with the Sussex County Habitat for Humanity to assist in building 2 homes in the town of Milford, Delaware.
I took him on this trip because I wanted to help those in need, and I love community service. But also, I wanted to build more relationships with those on campus, and then also learn new skills with like construction.
Habitat for Humanity is a nonprofit organization that builds and improves homes in a mission to create affordable and safe housing. It relies on donations and volunteer labor to complete construction.
The habitat work is important to me because a lot of people can't afford affordable housing, and we make home ownership possible for a lot of individuals.
Not only do these trips make a big difference, but they also create community for the students and faculty involved. Service projects like This Week in Delaware directly reflect Springfield College's Humanities philosophy, and its impact will be felt for years to come.
The opportunity to watch these students learn hard skills with hard tools that we know are transferable to their real lives is just something that you can't make up. It's something that you can't even begin to imagine until you're here. And like watching the transformation from the beginning of the week to the end of the week. And on top of that, we're helping people.
Chelsea and the trip's other advisor, Deja Ware, are both alumni of Springfield College and participated in alternate break trips during their time as students. This is what Chelsea had to say about being able to now advise the trip.
It has been such a joy to get to know this community, both the Habitat for Humanity community and the broader community, and to be able to say that we really did some good for them this week. So that's why I come back.
Information sessions for next year's alternative break trip will be taking place in the fall, so be sure to check your emails. Reporting in Delaware for SCTV3, I'm Logan Briggs.
Springfield College hosted a film screening and special Q&A with writer and producer Isa Fatima, bringing attention to stories that often go untold. The film Americanish takes a unique look at culture, identity, and modern womanhood through the lens of 3 women navigating life in New York City. The film offers a fresh take on the traditional rom-com. Set in Queens, Americanish explores the balance between honoring family traditions and chasing personal goals. After the screening, Fatima spoke with students about her journey and about the importance of representing diverse stories on screen. SCTV3's Dante Iafredi spoke with Fatima before the event kicked off and asked her what message she hopes the film sends to its viewers.
I think for Americanish, what I really want viewers to take away from this is that this is an immigrant story, which actually makes it an American story. So, I think immigrants, we can all agree, have been part of the American fabric from the beginning of this country and inception, and America was built on the backs of a lot of immigrant populations. So I hope people can see themselves in this and their own stories in this film. And it's also Women's History Month, so it's important to highlight all of the, women's shoulders that we stand on in order to do the work that we're doing today. And this is a female story, but it's really for everybody. And I hope that people from all walks of life are able to watch this film and see themselves reflected in it.
Fatima also emphasized the importance of authentic representation in media and hopes Americanish continues to spark conversations.
The Springfield College community gathered in the Union Cafe this afternoon to celebrate the start of the Major League Baseball season. Students, faculty, and staff members flocked to the Union to watch the Red Sox-Reds opening day game matchup on the big screen, marking an exciting moment on the calendar for sports fans. Several of those in attendance wore their favorite team's apparel, with the Red Sox and Baltimore Orioles among the teams represented. Cracker Jacks were also available, helping fans to truly get in the baseball spirit. Much to the delight of many here at Springfield College, the Red Sox beat the Reds 3-0.
On Tuesday, the William Simpson Fine Art Series hosted author Jennifer Bannon to read from her new short story collection called To Miami Trails, Miami Stories. The event took place in the Dodge Room, and although Bannon is a fictional writer, the stories stem from Bannon's own childhood experiences. As a young woman growing up in Miami, Bannon later reflected on all the gang violence and experiences of her and other young women and children in Miami. She read excerpts from her stories that vividly showed some of the key parts of what life is like for people in Miami through creative fiction. Bannon answered questions after the reading with students and later explained the messaging in her stories.
A lot of my writing is about women's issues, but I think that anytime that we're learning and we're talking and we're doing creative writing, we're making meaning, and that's important.
This was Bannon's second published short story collection following Inventing Victor, which was published back in 2003.
Advising for the fall 2026 semester is underway on campus. If you are a Springfield College student and you're curious to learn what classes you need to take in order to graduate, head over to PrideNet, log into your student profile, and view your degree audit. Once you're aware of what courses you still need to complete, head to the registration and planning section, make sure you've selected the correct term, and see if the class is available. If you're planning on taking classes during fall 2026, you must connect with your advisor. as students are required to get clearance from an advisor before selecting classes.
It's officially springtime here on Alden Street, and the weather has been gradually getting warmer and warmer. Will we continue to see those warm and sunny days, or will it be another week of clouds and cold? We turn it over to SCTV3's Logan Briggs in the weather studio with our local and national weather update. Logan?
Thank you, River. Spring is here, but the sun seems to be a little slow on coming back from spring break. This weekend will be on the colder side and partly cloudy. Tomorrow will bring a high of 48 with a low of 26. Saturday's high will be 39 with a low of 24. And Sunday will have a high of 51 and a low of 35. Although it stays partly cloudy, Monday brings warmer temps with a high of 65 and a low of 46. Tuesday will be cloudy and will have a high of 61 and a low of 44, with a possibility of morning showers. Wednesday has a high of 54 and a low of 44. The forecast currently shows potential rain, but the trends are looking better. Lastly, Thursday will bring rain with a high of 63 and a low of 41 on Thursday. Now onto our national weather update. Last week in Hawaii, the island of Oahu experienced heavy rain and flooding. The island continues to feel the effects as the flooding and debris have caused many road closures across the island. Although this has been difficult, the community has come together to gather and distribute supplies and even help crews with debris removal. Want to learn more about the Associate Director for Undergraduate Admissions? Stay tuned after the break for our weekly Q&A. You're watching SCTV3 Weekly News. Stay with us.
I don't think that many kids in my son's school even do it.
He makes fun of his friend who vapes.
He would never try it.
She's into soccer.
She's on the honor roll.
She's just not the type.
No way.
No way.
No way.
No way, my kid would never vape.
Get your head out of the cloud. Today, nearly 8,000 kids will start vaping. Maybe even yours. Learn about the dangers at talkaboutvaping.org.
Kyle Andolina is the Associate Director of Undergraduate Admissions and has been working with the rest of the Undergraduate Admissions Office to prepare for upcoming tours and accepted students' open house events. SCTV3's Liam Riley spoke with Andolina about his daily tasks as the Associate Director and what he looks for in a college application.
Depends every day. Every day is a little different. Right now, getting ready for our accepted student open house. So every accepted student hopefully will come and they'll decide if this is the place they want to spend the next 4, 5, or 6 years. And then a lot of it is getting ready for tours. So I oversee our pride guides, our tour guides on campus. So they come in, kind of give them their tasks, get them ready to go out on tour, and just making sure families, when they come, feel comfortable on campus. We're looking for well-rounded students. I mean, I feel like everyone on this campus knows the holistic mindset goes back to the triangle that we all know. So somebody who's well-rounded, has good grades, somebody who has good things that people say good things about, whether they work, they're involved in clubs, organizations, sports, things like that. That's what we're looking for. Yeah, I mean, I loved my time here. It's one of the reasons I came back. Yeah, I was an undergrad. I stayed for grad school too. My wife also went here. My sister came here. My sister-in-law is here too as a grad student currently. So it's just a lot of family. But the people here were awesome. In my time, I did a lot of things while I was on campus. I was super involved. I was a sport management major. I always thought I was going to go, work professional sports, but fell in love with higher ed, and I love it. My kids are young. I keep saying I'm going to be here till they graduate so I can get free college tuition. But no, I wouldn't want to leave this place anytime. I mean, it's the best. I love the museum. If you haven't been to the museum downstairs in Judd, definitely check it out. I love the history of Springfield College. I think there's so much about the history that can make people realize like how Springfield is special. I did the Y minor when I was here, and I had an advisor at the time who really taught us a lot about the college, and I think it just made me realize how valuable the education at Springfield was, and that's why I like to go down to the museum and just check it out. And there's new exhibits all the time, and see all the history that we have at Springfield.
The Accepted Students Open House is on Sunday, April 12th from 9 to 2.
Now we turn to this week's national headlines. Last Sunday at LaGuardia Airport in New York, a Canadian Express jet crashed into a port fire truck. SCTV3's Tyler Semenich has more on the incident.
Newly obtained surveillance video appears to show the Air Canada Express jet going 100 miles an hour slamming into a fire truck heading to help a different plane at LaGuardia International Airport.
We had a situation with United Airlines aircraft that had experienced an aborted takeoff. This is the reason why the fire and rescue crew had been deployed. Of course, the Air Canada flight was arriving on runway 4 when the incident took place at the Delta intersection.
Air traffic control had cleared the fire truck to cross the runway, but seconds later, the controller tried to stop the truck.
Stop, truck on, stop.
The pilot and co-pilot were both killed. Jack Cabot was on board the Air Canada flight and describes what it was like at the moment of impact.
It felt like we hit a wall. I mean, it was a sharp bang. That's why everybody was so bruised up, was just because of how hard that impact was. It's continued just to be this terrifying moment where we didn't know if we were going to make it.
The National Transportation Safety Board says crews cut a hole in the plane to retrieve voice and data recorders. They're now working to get information from air traffic control as the investigation gets underway. Reporting for SCTV3, I'm Tyler Semenich.
Officials are currently investigating different factors that may have caused the crash, including understaffing at the air traffic control tower at the time of the incident.
ICE agents are at select airports this week to help with passenger screening as TSA officers continue to work without pay amid the partial government shutdown. Over the past weekend, TSA callouts reached their highest levels since the shutdown began, leading to very long lines. SCTV3's Caleb Knowles has the story.
Immigration and Customs Enforcement agents patrolled Atlanta's Hartsfield-Jackson International Airport on Monday to assist TSA officers who are working without pay during the partial government shutdown.
These officers are well trained in security and they're well trained in identification.
On Saturday alone, more than 11.5% of all TSA officers called out of work nationwide, the most since the shutdown began. The frustration is growing nationwide across airports in the country. In Atlanta's Hartsfield-Jackson International Airport, the nation's biggest hub, staff handed out water to weary travelers over the weekend, who have been advised to arrive 4 hours before their scheduled departure time. Julie Curtis and her husband did just that, yet they were still forced to rebook after missing their flight.
We've just been standing and saying our feet are killing us, and my husband has a heart condition on top of that.
President Trump said on Monday he doesn't want ICE agents wearing masks at the airport.
I didn't think it was an appropriate look for an airport. I think it's a very appropriate look when they're out on the street.
The tactics of immigration enforcement have been at the center of the partial government shutdown on Capitol Hill. That's left the Department of Homeland Security without much of its funding, and means work with deferred pay for more than 50,000 TSA officers. Reporting for SCTV3, I'm Caleb Knowles.
President Trump said on Monday he'd consider sending in the National Guard to help at airports if the immigration agents are not enough.
In the basketball world, which Dr. James Naismith invented on this campus nearly 140 years ago, the WNBA and its Players Association have confirmed a new collective bargaining agreement.
Over the past several months, both the WNBA and its Players Association have been carefully negotiating over the league's collective bargaining agreement, a document that sets standards for player rights, contracts, and amenities in professional sports leagues. If no agreement was reached before the league's March 18th deadline, players would not be able to start the season on May 8th as planned. The Players Association and league executives officially signed a document guaranteeing play on March 24th, and the season will miraculously start as scheduled. Many issues that the two sides could not agree on included player housing, contract structure, and more.
I think what got us across the finish line were the demands of the players. You know, we have so many amazing player leadership members who were telling us days on end, weeks on end, exactly what it is that they wanted to fight for. The majority of these players, quite frankly, are the reason why we were able to get these things across the finish line.
The Players Association has been outspoken on what treatment they believe is fair, and is run by many stars of the league, including Ogumike and three-time league champion Brianna Stewart. Fans can finally relax about negotiations, enjoy the upcoming season. Dynamic free agency is over 80% of the league will enter the season with no contract and WNBA draft. For SCTV3, I'm Emma Vines.
Following an expansion draft on April 3rd and free agency beginning on the 7th, the WNBA draft takes place on April 13th, and the league's 30th season will tip off on May 8th with a 3-game slate.
After the break, SCTV3's Tyler Semenich has you covered with tonight's edition of SCTV3 Sports Extra.
How do you know when you've made the right decision? It's the feeling you get in your gut. The one that tells you what's right or wrong. It's the one that says, sure, I can have a drink. Or the feeling that says, okay, I've been drinking. Now what? It's the voice inside you that says, I'm buzzed. Better leave the car when it's time to go. Plan ahead. Catch a sober ride. Buzz driving is drunk driving.
Good evening, and welcome to this edition of SCTV3 Sports Extra. We begin tonight with a look at Springfield athletics as we check in on where our teams are headed this upcoming weekend. Starting at home, baseball looks to continue its solid start, hosting a NUMAC opponent in Emerson on Sunday. Women's tennis will also battle a NUMAC foe, hosting Wheaton College at noon. Men's volleyball looks to pick up its 6th straight win versus St. Joseph's of Illinois and will also play Baruch after at 4:30. And capping off SC's loaded Sunday slate is softball, welcoming Salve Regina to Potter Field. We now turn the page to the teams hitting the road this upcoming week. Men's and women's track and field head to UMass Dartmouth for the Corsair Classic tomorrow and Saturday. Women's lacrosse will travel to the Coast Guard Academy on Saturday. The Pride have had just one home game in their last 7 matchups. Men's tennis will also face Wheaton College on Saturday, but opposite of their female counterparts. And rounding out our away schedule is women's tennis back in action, but on the road to face Wellesley. All NUMAC contests are streamed by Flow Sports, but if you ever missed the live action, head to SpringfieldCollegePride.com to keep up with all things Pride athletics. This week's Athlete of the Week interview featured Springfield College's women's tennis player Kapam Vediawakun, who has been a consistent force for the Pride with her strong play and competitiveness on the court. SCTV3's Lanaya Delgado caught up with her to talk about her success and what's been working in her game, as well as her journey here on campus.
Thank you so much for joining me today. You just came back to Alden Street after being in Florida for the spring break, and you guys played a few games out there. Can you tell me how that was?
Yeah, so we played 4 matches down there, 2 with pretty good schools and then 2 with kind of our level. And I think that was pretty important because then you get to, play with no pressure at all against the schools that are really good, and then also test out what level we're at with the schools that are just, similar level as us. But one of the schools we played, our old GA is now their head coach. So there was a bit of like, you know, rivalry there. But it's all for fun, you know. She came up and congratulated us after. But it ended up being pretty good. We also made a lot of like really good memories when we were down there. A lot of team bonding. But yeah.
That's awesome. And representing Springfield, you know, you come from Thailand. You're an international student. Can you tell me how you chose Springfield?
Yes. So I went to boarding school in PA. And then from there, I knew a few people that went here.
Tell me how you got into tennis and got the love for it to continue to play it after boarding school into the collegiate level?
I started because I had really bad allergies. Both my parents got me into it, and my allergies started like going away. And they tried putting me into like a bunch of different other sports as well. But then I just kind of stuck with it the whole time. And playing it so long, coming into college, I was like, oh, I feel like I can't throw all of that away. All the hard work, all the effort, and the time and resources my parents invested into it. Like, I feel like at least I should play at the college level. And, I mean, I can play here, so it's great, yeah.
It's awesome. You girls have had a really good season so far. And so my next question is kind of how do you guys prepare for that? Because, you know, in the fall, you have still nice weather, and then it gets like a little bit too cold, and then you have like the winter, and you saw like we had like 30 inches of snow, so you couldn't really play in your in-season. So how do you girls prepare for those moments to get you ready for the season in the spring?
Yeah, so like you said, the fall, the weather is great, and then winter season, we have our indoor practices. So we're in the field house. We have like 6 a.m.s every week, and then we also like do individuals like every other day. So like we're constantly practicing. It's just like indoors, and the sad thing about that is like although the court surface is a bit different, so it makes practicing a little different from actually being outside. At least you still get some reps in, you know. But yeah.
For a team and, you know, kind of learning like what Springfield embodies and mind, body, spirit. What does that mean to you as like a tennis player?
I think that actually like teaches me a lot of like, you know, tennis is a very like mental game, like heavy. So like the whole spirit, mind, and body, and like being educated as like a whole person, like actually fits really well with tennis. I think it helps you kind of be more grounded even when you're playing, kind of just being more stable mentally.
Your expectations, you guys we're almost like 2 months away from like when school's gonna end, and you're gonna be going into your last year playing tennis for Springfield College. What are you hoping to finish for the last season before the new season will start in the fall?
I mean, even since my freshman year up until this point, I can see that our team has gotten so much better, and it is going in the direction that is, you know, looking really great. And like my coach always says but the program is gonna like keep going in the right direction, and I'm actually so excited to see where it's gonna go in the next few years, even after like I graduate. But I mean, honestly, for my last year, I just look forward to having fun on court, honestly, because it's kind of like settling in, you know, that it's going to be my last year playing competitively, because then again, like, you know, the real world it's hitting, you know, you have to go out, be an adult, and like do all these crazy things, get a job. But yeah, just have fun, make good memories with the team. And yeah, I mean, possibly look into like maybe coaching in the future, but we'll see.
Yeah, and since your time here at Springfield, like you have been honored and won a few awards, like especially through NUMAC. How does that mean to accomplish things at a collegiate level, especially for your team, even though it's an individual? Like, what does that mean to you?
I mean, I think like it just shows that like all my effort and hard work is actually going somewhere, and it's like being shown that it's like coming to light. It just kind of like very heartwarming, and I think just for the team as well, just like putting our name out there and like, you know, showing that like sometimes like tennis gets kind of pushed to the side a little bit compared to like the other sports. Also because like they're doing great, you know what I mean? But yeah, kind of just getting our team name out there is, I think it's really important.
Much for sitting down and
No, thank
interviewing
you.
with me. And it's back to you, Tyler, in Studio B.
Springfield College has seen wins across multiple programs this season, but for two head coaches, one stood out more than the rest. Their first. That first win isn't just about the final score. It's about the work, the pressure, and the belief it takes to get there. SCTV3's Dante Iafredi takes us inside what that moment really means.
A final out, a moment every team works toward from day one. It's the payoff for hours of preparation, long practices, and everything that happens when no one's watching. But for a head coach, that first win means something more. Because it's not just about getting into the win column, it's about proving that everything you've been building, the culture, the mindset, the standard, is starting to take hold. And for Springfield College, that moment belongs to Sam Garcia and Chad Shade. For Sam Garcia, that first win wasn't just about one game. It was a reflection of the work her team has been putting in every single day, and a sign that things are starting to come together.
And I just want that to come through my coaching and through our staff, and also like just through them. Like I want them to be themselves. I want us to have like a controlled amount of fun, right? And for me, like the best thing I can do as a coach is kind of let their personality shine through. And I think that's when this softball program is at its best, is when we're able to have the fun and we're dancing in the dugout, we're cheering loudly for just like the small things. And I think that's what makes us, can make us seem like almost a scary opponent, because we're never truly out of it.
For Chad Shade, the journey to that first win looked a little different. It wasn't about one moment. It was about everything leading up to it.
Yeah, it was really a full circle moment. That game in general, there was a lot of adversity that we faced that game. Some of it was self-imposed, and we made some mistakes, but our guys never stopped fighting. They never panicked. They just kept adding on runs. They found ways to get out, and it was a great game that I think just showed the type of team we were going to be this year.
But beyond the moment itself, that first win carries something deeper. Belief, momentum, and a vision for what the future of these programs can look like.
It's really a complete effort from our entire staff, and we show up every single day with a good attitude, with good energy, and with a plan to get these guys ready to go, to make them the best possible versions of themselves.
And how I go about coaching other women, especially as someone who has been coached predominantly by men. And I'm very grateful for how my coaches still like truly care for us. And I want to make sure that my team understands how much I truly care for them, and I want their success at the end of the day.
Two different programs, two different paths, and two different journeys to get there. But when that moment finally arrives, the feeling is the same. A mix of relief, pride, and the belief that everything is starting to click. And while it may only count as one in the standings, for these coaches it's something much bigger. It's the moment that sets the tone and shows their program is heading in the right direction. Reporting for SCTV3, I'm Dante Iafredi.
That will do it for tonight's edition of SCTV3 Sports Extra. Stick around after the break as we take a deep dive into the life of one of Springfield's most recognizable faces. Stay with us.
My opponent is completely disregarding almost half of my arguments which I respond to.
Communities must step up
Laws
and
alone
protest
cannot
against this
stop
normalizing.
bullying.
Well, I completely disagree.
Point of inquiry, do you guys even realize that the #1 killer of children and teens are gun injuries?
You're probably starting to realize now, this is not a debate.
There is no adult in this earth that wants children to die.
I worry for my kids.
There is a road laid out for me.
First night here, but Amy seems cool.
Leading down to the river. I am blind, but I need not see.
What do you think?
I know this road is there for me. If I'm really free, take me down to the river and walk.
In this week's edition of Friendly and Familiar Faces of Springfield, I talked to Dr. Slandy the Juice, the Vice President of Campus Life and Community Engagement.
I have been in this field for over 23 years. And I went to school as an undergraduate student. Actually, I went in as pre-law, intending to be an attorney. Really coming from an immigrant family, there really were only a few options available to you, right? Law, engineering, and medicine is what I usually tell people. So I went in as pre-law, and then I became an RA my sophomore year. And I just fell in love with it. So instead of law school, I just went and got my master's in higher education and felt that, well, you know, this is the path to become a professional RA. Back then, that's how I thought about it. I mean, I love programming as an RA. I love helping students. And so it really was just the interaction with residents and helping them however I could. But I realized, oh, you know, actually I could help people professionally. I was in Illinois. I worked at a 4-year private institution, a large institution. And so when I transitioned back, because my mother fell sick, and so we were transitioning back to Massachusetts, and I decided, well, let me go back to community college because I had worked at a community college before. It's a different population. I loved it there. I was there for a couple of years and loved the difference that I made. But I was missing the residential experience, which really was the bulk of my experience had been. And I was looking for a school that actually fit with my values, right? One that is student-centered. And I know a lot of schools say that they're student-centered, right? But this is one of the few schools that you really get the sense that we live out the mission. Probably the only school that I know of where students actually know the mission and can recite it. It reminded me a lot of my experience as an undergraduate at Boston College. Just the intentionality and the being centered on mission and holistic student development really drew me here. I interviewed over Zoom. I met with students, community members, my search committee. And my search committee was more than half of the people in my search committee were students. Like, if you think about that, it's a vice president position, and more than half of the people who were tasked to hire me were students. And that sent a strong, like the strongest signal to me, right? I have never had that happen in my career, and that said to me immediately, like, yeah, this is a place that really care about what students think. Every day is different. My day has a lot of meetings because, again, there's a lot of behind-the-scene works that happen, whether it's meetings about, you know, retention. Let's look at retention rates. Let's look at the group of students that, you know, that are leaving and why they're leaving. Or it might be meetings with the president or the president leadership team. It might be a meeting off campus with community members. So I'm in and out of meetings all day, but what I try to do is to make sure that students still see me. I try to go to Cheney and eat there as much as I can. I like to eat there with students that I haven't seen, so you oftentimes will see me at the table with students or a group of students. I have learned the importance of connecting with people, right? Like, as an RA, you know that you have to pay attention to people, but not just pay attention, but really get to know people, that people matters. And so in my everyday life, I want to make sure that people feel welcome, that people feel a sense of belonging. Those are skills that I've learned as an RA. I also use, you know, crisis management. I learned that as an RA. You know, how do you respond to a crisis? You know, what do you say? What don't you say? Who do you involve? What are your resources? The work that we're doing through Pride Cares with, you know, students showing up for others. We didn't have Pride Cares back then, but a lot of those skills are skills that we learned as an RA. I come to work every day with joy in my heart. And the joy is because I feel that I'm making a difference in staff lives and faculty lives, and certainly a difference in the lives of students. My job really is focused on making sure that students succeed. There's a lot of behind the scene work that happens for a student to be able to thrive here, right? And I love to be able to be part of that work, right? Whether it's conversation about retention, you know, what are the roadblocks like that we need to remove to make sure students stay here and not leave? What are the roadblocks we need to remove to make sure that the students who do stay here, they actually thrive? What are the resources that we need to have available for them? Who are those students that we need to have eyes on to make sure that they don't fall through the cracks? That's really important work. I have a son in college. With him being a sophomore in college, it hits differently now, this work, because I look at every student as my child now. And, you know, the same experience that I want him to have in Tennessee is the same experience that I want students to have here. So I approach the work through the lens of a mother more than I used to. When I'm not here, I'm spending time with my husband, and we have an 11-year-old who's still at home. I'm very busy, a busy mom, because he plays basketball, he plays volleyball. And so my days after work, I'm either going to a game, going to practice, trying to juggle all that he does. He's in a band, he used to be in robotics. I love to read. As an introvert, that's just the best thing I find to do, is just sit with my thoughts and read. I'm also a person of faith, so I do attend church on a weekly basis. And just spending time with family and cooking.
Okay.
I love to cook and I love to eat. I love Mexican food.
Okay.
I love Haitian food because I'm Haitian, but Haitian food takes time to cook. But tacos don't, right? So I could eat tacos every day, or pasta, which is Italian food. But yeah, I love to cook and I love to eat what I cook.
That will do it for this week's edition of SCTV3 Weekly News. Thank you for joining us.
Be sure to go check out the live stream section on SCTV3's YouTube channel, and also be sure to go follow SCTV3 on Instagram, Twitter, and TikTok at SCTV3.
We thank everyone again for tuning in, and we'll see you all next week. Same time,
same place.